Hello, everyone, and welcome to Got Thrones, a Game of Thrones podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra August, and with me, as ever, is my co-host, Johnny Kolazinski.
Hello, everyone.
We are here to chat about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 3 of season 1, The Squire, that just aired on HBO this Sunday night. Spoilers for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, everything that happens up until and including this episode, and then the preview that HBO showed, just for good measure.
Game of Thrones. I think we both really liked the episode with the exception of that whodunit teaser of an ending.
It was nice to sit with my thoughts for a couple of days, and it was a rewarding rewatch. It's rich, it's layered. I don't who am I kidding? It's all about the breakfast sandwich. Begins and ends with a goose egg. I didn't realize that there were yolks like that in nature, and now I want a goose.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes.
What are we doing with
Two
chicken
geese,
eggs?
so you can share sandwiches.
Yeah, I would need 2 geese. That's a good point.
Yeah, let's do a quick recap of the episode, because that's not something that we did in our hot takes this week. And then go a little bit more into what we liked, what we didn't like, what we want to eat.
This episode opens, Dunk and Egg are sleeping, but Egg is awake, and while Dunk is sleeping, he breaks camp to train Thunder. And while he's doing that, we get our first new character of the episode, Sir Robin Riesling, who is extremely intense and very extra in potentially useful and potentially crazy ways. Later on, Egg informs Dunk that only highborn knights compete on the tournament's first day, so they get a day off. And Dunk does a little grocery shopping. He makes them some great breakfast sandwiches. They kind of build a little bit more of their relationship. Egg requests a Squire for Dunk permanently, but before Dunk can say yes, he's interrupted by Plummer, who asks Dunk to take part in a rigged joust against Lord Ashford's son, Sir Andrew, to recoup money spent on hosting the costly tournament, and gives Dunk a day to decide.
Yes. And then, as they're watching a jousting match, we see Aerion Targaryen actively choose to drop his lance and mortally injure Sir Humphrey Harding's horse. That basically led to a small folk riot and a very sad Egg. A fortune teller claims that Egg is going to eventually become king, which is unlikely, and that he is going to die horribly in a fire surrounded by people who hate him. Raymond Fosway invites Dunk over for a drink. Raymond talks about how he feels about the Targaryens, and it is delightful. Meanwhile, watching one of Cancel's performances that portrays a dragon being killed, our best friend Aerion is there watching. Egg runs to get Dunk. Dunk sees Aerion break Cancel's finger. Dunk has the most amazing rage face I've ever seen put to film and kicks the crap out of Prince Aerion. And right before he's about to get his face punched in, Egg reveals that he is in fact Prince Aegon Targaryen, calls the guards by name, tells them to get off, and then we have the Californians ending of just flash from character to character to character with angsty faces.
And that concludes your recap, folks. This was, as we said, such a richly textured episode and so fun. There's a couple of things that we specifically want to hit on. We're going to start with I would like to start with the characters that we got introduced, because we met one guy that I was excited to see and one guy that I didn't know I was excited to see until I saw him. And
yes.
Sir Robin Riesling is that guy, because he's not heavily featured in the novella. He's not given this kind of real estate, and this was spectacular.
Oh yeah, he
looks
I have
like
a
the
lot
Juggernaut.
to say about him. He looks like the Juggernaut. He talks like Worf. Michael Dorn could have played this to a T.
The way Klingons love Game of Thrones, like, this is Worf's favorite fucking show. Like, he made people watch it. He does the holodramas, like, all the time. He's a huge LARPer. Like, he's really good at it. Like, oh my god. Jadzia and Worf used to, like, Ren Fair LARP. Game of Thrones stuff. Like, oh my gosh. Can you imagine nerds with holodecks?
I feel like Worf at one point in time has said, oh, you haven't heard Winds of Winter until you've heard it in the original Klingon.
When the third season of Picard, I think, is when they introduce him as Bane to the House Duras, and I nearly lost my mind because I'm just like, post Game of Thrones Star Trek is a special thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other guy is Sir Humphrey Harding, who did not have a great day.
Yeah, and we didn't really meet him as much as we met his horse.
Yeah, and a little bit his reputation we got to meet, because basically of the knights that are playing that first day, you've got Targaryens, you've got the hosts, and Humphrey. So he's kind of the real deal a little bit. And so that's part of, I think, a little bit of the undercurrent at what happens with the small folk when they see him unhorsed in this way that's so unfair. and just so shitty.
Yeah. We had to hide my dog's eyes for that scene. It was too scary.
Which dog?
Oberon. Also, my wife has started referring to Tad Cooper and Oberon, my two dogs, as Dunk and Egg.
But that makes a lot of sense. What did you so do we know anything about Sir Robin Riesling? Like he seems like he's kind of a warrior monk, which I was sort of because isn't like Thoros.
Well, Thoros of Myr followed the Lord of Light and not the Seven. But yeah, I agree with your take that he's a warrior monk.
Yeah, he's an I want to knock on his I want to like do a little knock on his eye patch. I want someone to do that. Like cuz he and like what if Lionel meets him? What's gonna I don't
We can discuss
I
that.
don't want to speculate.
Yeah. Now I'm excited for what we see of Lionel next episode. Now that shit has hit the fan.
It also occurs to me we have not seen Lionel's armor, and I
No.
bet it's spectacular.
Oh yeah, has to be.
I
I
know
mean,
it's he because
we've only seen him clothed half the time.
and he looks good,
Mm-hmm.
like nice fits. So, were there any other characters introduced this week?
I don't think that count. Like, like we got those two guards.
Yeah, Yoke and Stroker.
Yeah, Yoke and Stroke.
Yoke and Stroke.
One's named after goose eggs. Yes. You know who's not an adult? Egg.
This was something that I think bears its own sort of like topic. And I don't know that Egg is wise or clever. I think he's educated and he can speak and he has vocabulary, but he really felt like such a little boy when he asks Dunk about the hairs on his little guys. And like
Yeah.
it was just
On
like,
his goose eggs.
yeah, and you just get the sense that he's never been able to ask anyone that.
And also has never been able to play.
Yeah, and he also has that scene in Lionel's Tent where he like very wisely talks about the Alice song. So maybe I'm projecting more onto it than is there, but I was just really struck by the ways that they've managed to convey what a small child he is. I think we know that like no probably the main characters are not going to die. So like I'm not super worried about Dunk's mortality or Egg's. What I'm worried about kind of with Egg is just like keeping him safe and keeping him
Yeah,
like
it's his innocence.
yeah.
Um,
Um I feel like that is the emotional core of this in many ways or one of
yeah.
them.
I want to point out something you said in your notes for us for this episode. Was that yeah, you said he's not a quote clever quote kid in the way that certain child actors are. And I absolutely agree with that and think that we to an extent saw that in Sir Lionel's tent in the oh her name is Hope thing because like and this is not a knock on any other child actors, but like the kid from Jerry Maguire, that would have been absolutely precocious and and overly saccharine. And no, it just felt like the sort of the thing that a kid says. Like maybe
Yeah, like
a little wise, but not out of the realm of possibility. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and he's not like funny. You know, I feel like one of the things that, like, one of the ways that you can get a child actor to be really impressive in a way that doesn't necessarily require them to have studied Shakespeare is like kids are funny. You find a funny kid who understands timing, they're wildly entertaining. Like, kids say the darndest things. And the fact that Egg, like, isn't that, like, he's not a quippy little kid, which, like, even Arya is a little smarter and a little sassier and she's older and
Yeah.
like that's kind of her storyline is that she is not a sweet shy girl. Like I guess like Egg is maybe more like to Bran.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really good comparison is pre tree Bran or pre Green Dreams Bran. Another thing that I really liked is the relationship between Dunk and Egg, that it's very clearly brothers and not father son or adoptive father adoptive son the way Sir Arlen was, and that Dunk is also getting to play for probably the first time.
That I listened to the Midnight Boys on the Ringerverse, and they mentioned you see Dunk choosing to do something a little different than Sir Arlen probably would have. You see him realizing like he doesn't have to be as hard-edged, and that speaks to the beautiful ways in which these two complement each other. I
Um,
just the fact that like Egg gives Dunk like some street smarts and Dunk like manages to like teach Egg how to do like just simple things like surviving
yeah,
and making therefore making Egg less dependent on the place and the people that he's scared of, and Egg giving Dunk more mobility via his just information. Sorry, I cut you off.
I did have a specific example, and that's at the very beginning, Egg with Thunder the horse, and him. You know, my father says that you shouldn't speak to a horse; they don't understand anything but the rod. But I don't think that that's true. That is very much what Sir Arlen's attitude towards Dunk was.
Yeah, like Sir Arlen wasn't they weren't friends, but Dunk, I think A, because he and Egg are, both naive and young and new and are finding and are relieving that sort of like fear with, by being together.
They're having a much more positive experience for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife didn't watch it with me the first time because she was working overnight, and she referred to it as a buddy comedy. This episode,
It really is. I think that they didn't have a lot of time to create this relationship and make us invest in it. And I would say, like, largely due to Dexter Ansell's Soul's performance in this episode, am I really sold on these guys as a duo and how, like, again, something, see, I'm not allowed to listen to podcasts again before we do ours because something the Midnight Boys mentioned, which is a really beautiful note, is that, like, when they're in the tent with Tansel and Dunk and, like, Egg sees the problem, he immediately runs to Dunk and, he runs to someone who essentially is his older brother to deal with a problem caused by his actual older brother. And yes, he's still lying, but that's again the sense like I found myself so willing to forgive that of just because he's so little. Like he's just so little. And you can like you get the sense like just in his like little kid he was like, "Oh, Dunk will be able to fix this because the math of that is working out." And my heart.
yeah.
He's a little guy.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
The next thing that we had down that we wanted to chat about was as Dunk and Egg are sitting on the hillside, kind of chilling and talking about the future. The master of the list, Plumber, gets Dunk's attention and they go on a little walk.
Dunk's morality gets tested.
I think why I like coming back to this is that normally in Game of Thrones, people are like, part of it is horror porn. Game of Thrones came about like in the era of The Walking Dead, which was like, we have to show you how shitty humanity can get every week. Like, this guy Plumber is, as much as I am a little disappointed in his smarminess, honestly, he just makes a very fair offer for like Lord Ashford to like give his daughter a party, and then his son already had a nice like little show, and then like Dunk will win and they get to elevate this hedge knight, like everybody wins. It feels like a very
Yeah,
good deal, and I would do business with Lord Ashford.
yeah, and he went specifically to the person who has the most to gain from this. Is that also the one most likely to do it? Yeah, probably. And we talked a little bit in the hot takes about why this is not normally how rigging a fight works. You don't normally go to somebody and say, "Here's the thing, we're gonna rig this, and
You're
I need you to win."
you're going to win.
Yeah, normally you don't need to tell people that. You need to tell people to throw the match. But in watching it again, I think the other reason is the challenger chooses who they're up against. He could have picked any of the champions. Dunk is huge, and Dunk is an unknown. So if they want to see the prince lose spectacularly, losing to Andre the Giant is the way to go. And still save his pride, as opposed to
That
losing to Sir Florian, who became the jester. in Game of Thrones.
That yeah, I as we were kind of percolating on our immediate reactions, I was thinking like, yeah, he probably did that to save face.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Plumber is just he's just not a piece of shit. He's not evil.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a priest. He's just kind of like you said earlier, the rare Westerosi disappearing middle class, like somebody who isn't going to die anytime soon. He's in a post-scarcity Westeros. That's,
Yeah.
rarefied air. Dunk says, "I don't want a victory I haven't earned." And Plummer, played by Tom Von Lawler, says, "Have you not earned it?" And I don't know that he's trying to be super manipulative at that point. I think he
No,
just honestly is like, we get kicked around a lot, and like if you have an opportunity, you should take it.
absolutely. You earned it by becoming a knight. You earned it by walking into the room with the hand of the king and having the goose eggs to I'm not I promise goose eggs is going to be a one episode joke. I'll be done with it next week. Having the stones to say, "Oh, you remember my knight, right? Oh, but you remember him kind of wrong."
Yeah, no, it was 7 lances. That's what he
Yeah.
said. King. Oh, sorry, Prince. Your Majesty.
Like he won a social joust that day.
He did. Oh, that. He does deserve a reward. He deserves flowers
Mhm.
for that. Speaking of Targaryens, I think something that's really an interesting undercurrent throughout this is Targaryen public approval and how
Mhm.
this is maybe the most annoying time to be a Targaryen if you are a Targaryen.
Yeah.
You remember like Eddie Izzard dressed to kill the Holy Roman Empire does nothing but collapse slowly like a flan in a cupboard. I feel like that's what's driving Aerion crazy. And I don't like him, but I get it.
Yeah, and I think if this wasn't what was driving Arion crazy, Arion would be equally crazy with a dragon. But
Yeah.
they ruled by craziness and hellfire, and now they only have craziness. Uh,
Excellent point.
they're
Crazy isn't sustainable.
no, that's not a political statement about what's going on right now at all. But crazy is not sustainable. It is not how you get a peaceful populace.
And I love that they back this up. They take the steps to sit down with Raymond. This is not a conversation we get in the books. He does not like the fact that Dunk is not equally like, oh yeah, fuck a Targaryen. And he's like, let me explain it to you. And he does not lie. They came over, they conquered, they ripped apart the country 100 years before with these nuclear weapons and a bunch of innocent people dying with absolutely zero respect for the ways of life of the people that they are ruling. And so I like that they took the time to tell us that because it doesn't just look like annoyed, dissatisfied peasants who are going to be unhappy no matter what. This has been brewing, and the Targaryens are reaping what they have sown.
Seeing these first three episodes made me, for the first time, interested in a Robert's Rebellion series
Ooh,
because I am very interested to see, especially given that they cut a generation between Aegon and the rebellion. So we are very close to it. And we've said many times, right now, the average Westerosi looks pretty good. They're upset about a horse, not about press gangs or starving. And so there's a part of me that kind of wants to see what was life like for the small folk leading up to
oh,
Robert's Rebellion.
and yeah, that's because rebellions don't work unless a bunch of people agree. Like, there's rebellions and then there's coups. And this was a rebellion, not a coup. So Robert had a lot of support, top to bottom. It seemed like everybody was pretty happy for a change, in large part because of the Mad King. And or maybe there were people like Tywin Lannister who were going to be profiteers and were like, yes, no, we'd love
Yeah.
a war.
Yeah.
But I think we could get to our I think that's most of the episode, the episodic stuff that I wanted to talk about before we get into our segments. Was there anything else that like particularly rang your bell this week?
With the exception of the last 15 seconds,
You
musically, I
know,
loved this.
Oh, yeah. Like I really felt like the whistling, like their kind of theme when they bumble about, like really is
Hmm.
like I really feel like it's a little bit of like Zeffirelli, it's a little Monty Python, it's a little bit like Robin Hood, like Disney Robin Hood, like Robin Hood and Little John walking through the
Hmm.
forest, like that song. Oh, and Egg's little song.
Oh
Stop
yeah,
it. I felt like I was at camp. Ugh, I'm not
like
Jewish. I don't know why I did that voice.
or a rope skipping rhyme.
Yeah, I was like, I did this kind of shit at school. I feel like we definitely had, I can't remember what the songs were, but like definitely there were songs where like with like the
Miss
fun
Lucy
word
had a
endings and stuff.
baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Ask me no more questions.
And I'll
Tell
tell
you,
you no more lies.
and if you da da
The
da da
girls are
da,
in the
I'll kick your fat
bathroom, zipping
behind.
up their flies are in the meadow. He's like, whoop. Oh, we are also children. Also, with the ending of the when I watched it again, I thought I think they were really pushing that for people who did not know that twist. Because watching it with like
Yeah.
the idea in mind that I had no idea who Egg was, which is true for a lot of people. It snagged less. So we're just too smart, Johnny. We were too
And read
smart.
the books.
Yeah, it sounds like we were just like too cool for the
Hmm.
music, which
Yeah.
is not, is not the show's problem. That's for us to manage.
I said it's not this show's problem that we are not too cool for anything.
With that, on to segments.
Yeah, on to segments. We're going to start. Have we actually done this one yet? I know we've had it in the notes every episode, but have we done our MVP so far?
MVP, our most valuable parenting. We didn't do it for the first one. We did it for last week.
We did do it for last week. So, Alex, let's go with you first. Who was your most valuable parent this week?
Okay, Baylor, who's the MVP
Okay.
of my heart.
Hmm.
And because I say this because as we watch Arian all over that jousting field, what you see Baylor do is be very disappointed and be very annoyed that
Hmm.
the goodwill they're trying to build by getting down to the tournaments with the small folk is now really derailed for no good reason. I think it's clear who's the better dad out of the Targaryen senior leadership. If we're picking between Makar and Baylor, I don't know. It looked like Baylor had his shit together when it came to how to run his children or his household.
Hmm. And as a point, MVP is not literally parents of children. It is who
Who did the best
who
parenting? Who
actually,
parented
yeah,
the
yeah,
best? Who did the
exactly.
act of parenting in a superlative manner?
Hmm.
So, how about you, Johnny? Who did you have for?
And this kind of goes against what we were saying at the beginning of the episode, but I have Egg specifically in his moment with Dunk in the street, where he was both ribbing him for being totally awkward with Tanzel, but also being encouraging. Like that was a dad joke move.
I think that's again one of the ways they complement one another is that like Dunk has never had anyone take care of him. He has never had
Hmm.
anyone who looked out for him. Arlen would have done that, but Arlen was kind of wasn't a parent, was more of an employer. And
Yeah.
yeah, and to see Egg kind of turn around and because he knows what needs to be done, just
Hmm.
do it because Dunk has shown him the same consideration. Like just watching these two guys like build that little just mutual trust after mutual trust, which mutual trust, you really understand why Dunk is so hurt at the end of this episode too. And
Yeah.
why he feels so betrayed.
Arlen would have given Dunk 5 coppers and said, "Go for it."
I think you're right.
And and wasn't Arlen my choice last episode? Yeah,
Hey,
Dunk and Arlen.
they people have different strengths.
Hmm. People are an onion knight.
But our next segment, who smashed and who was unhorsed, who had a good day and who had a not great day, who went to bed feeling like all right and who went to bed really annoyed.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, and my choices this week caught me off guard, just across the board. But my smashed choice was Raymond Fossaway. His rant against the Targaryens was like Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation level of
Amazing.
unhinged. The fact that he takes a moment and credits the one bit that he stole from Stefan is because,
Stefan
let,
Fasawe.
yeah, because let's get Bill Hader in here. But,
I was thinking of like
like,
Stefan Urkel of like the alt universe Steve Urkel. Because I feel like that's Stefan and Raymond.
wait a minute. Have we ever seen the two Fossaways in the same room? Oh, wait, yes, all the time.
It was outside though.
Yeah, I thought that was just like chef's kiss. I think that he would have said the exact same thing without the cider. I think that he had just been waiting, had that in his back pocket, did not have a podcast, had to say it to somebody.
To say, oh my gosh, he's so mad at the Targaryens, and like
Mm-hmm.
he's such a good representative, more or less, for the common folk because he's like a little bit dissatisfied, but all over. Like life is good for Raymond Fossaway. He's got normal problems, and to see him get just, I do think he did it on purpose. It was such a beautiful note of authenticity in him, and then you see Dunk, you get like on a personal scale, like what that means to people to see Arian do this yet again and how much we can kind of relate to it now, just seeing people wield their power without responsibility. And then to have him just be like, oh, yeah, sorry, sometimes I'm intense.
I've got the Hamilton. Oh, was I talking too loud? Sometimes I get excited, shoot off at the mouth. Um, yeah, I loved that. And then conveniently, despite having dehorsed someone, I feel like Arian was unhorsed.
Yeah.
He
But
pulled a power move. He tried to do what he think was going to defend his family's honor and show that they are still a force to be reckoned with. Um,
you should still be afraid of the
even
Targaryens.
yeah, you should, because look at me
Defenseless
hit this
girl.
defenseless woman, and then he gets the crap kicked out of him.
Definitively.
Oh yeah. Then he has his two enforcers that he needs to take down this guy, and then they listen to a 9-year-old.
His little brother.
Yeah.
Finn Bennett is so good. I hate this man.
Yes. And we've seen him for 4.5 minutes. And I'm not going to do this, let's be honest. But it would be really interesting to do a comparison of the amount of screen time that, eh, especially Duncan Egg, but Raymond Fossaway or Lionel or Arion, compared to midway through Game of Thrones and the amount of screen time that, say, Littlefinger got or any of the Starks because of the size of the cast.
Yeah, the show is paced really well, and the dynamics are playing really well episode, which is just a nature of like these guys
Mhm.
being really, really good television writers. I think
Yeah,
um
and one more thing I want to add onto that is that all of these episodes feel longer than they are in the best way possible.
yeah, like interesting. I don't know if you're watching The Pit, but
Do that for
because
my
The
other
Pit
podcasts.
is so heavily serialized, ooh, it ends and I always want more in kind of an urgent way. Whereas this show, I just always feel like I'm getting a little like icing, a little extra.
Yeah,
Like it's always when I'm done, I'm like, oh gosh, that was great.
yeah, and this is the closest that I think we've come to a cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we still don't have opening credits, and
No,
I'm here for that.
yeah, I'm okay with it.
I like how
I,
Casey Bloys, somebody was comparing, okay, it seems to be important to Casey Bloys, who's the head of HBO, that there were not 1,000 Game of Thrones spinoffs on HBO, that there are only three compared to like Marvel on Disney.
mhm.
Um, And I liked the sound of that, and it gave me a little bit of faith that despite what happens to HBO, the current leadership is still really, really, really committed to letting creative lead in a way that Disney, I feel like, has been balancing with profit pretty beautifully for a couple decades now. But all good things come to an end, and I think we're seeing sort of the oversaturation of Marvel and kind of break under itself a little bit.
Yeah.
Or whereas like
Uh,
this has been measured. Game of Thrones, the
yeah.
franchise, despite its saturation in many ways, is still quite measured by comparison. There's also way less IP, so that helps.
Yeah.
But I think
Uh,
that they would make similar choices.
yeah. That said, I've heard Wonder Man is great, but also I haven't felt drawn to watch Wonder Man because saturation. I've also read, and it might have been the same conversation, that their Casey Blaze and HBO are very dedicated to, as much as they can, having annual seasons.
Yeah, this in the pit, which I what I was going to say earlier is that I think we're also seeing, peak binge. There's so
Hmm.
much content. Everybody's awash in content, and I like the idea of us sort of finding a balance between cable where everything is week to week to week and then everything is stuffed so full of ads that whatever has been licensed for cable is just so far from the original that it loses its value, to like pure Netflix, which you're just beaming The Office into your brain, and binging is never sustainable. So I'm wondering
Yeah.
if we're not, as Netflix kind of grows and maybe absorbs HBO, if we see them maybe still cutting their theatrical windows, but maybe submitting to some weekly releases and some annual seasons.
I mean, they kind of experimented with that with last season of Stranger Things and doing the three
The
blocks. I
holiday
mean,
releases, yeah.
granted, yeah, but also very specifically, let's have them in 3 different months for subscriptions. I've found personally that even with shows that I don't need to pay attention to so that I can talk about them with you, um, I am much more my phone is down for this, for Fallout, uh, for the things that are weekly as opposed to binge dump.
I don't know that there's much current that I want to watch as a binge at this point. I remember when Picard came out, just really like wanting commercials because it was just flicking the nerd being so hard with so many different like amazing things happening. And I just kind of, it was like, can you please pace this out a little bit? You're blowing my circuits. So yeah, I wonder what kind of mix. I don't think it's going to be all or nothing. I think it'll be a mix of both.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to get 24 episode seasons anymore from anything that's not network,
Dick
which
Wolf.
that bums me out. Yeah.
I agree with you. I like the seasons moving in a certain cadence, and I liked the monoculture that went with sweeps week and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I agree with you there. I also, anyone who's listened to our previous podcast know that we connected over Star Trek, and one of the big things that I miss is, the filler episodes where we actually get, because we don't have to focus on let's move the plot along, we get sometimes really weird and like unfortunate episodes, but we also get to spend time with characters that we wouldn't pay attention to, or get pairings that we wouldn't get bottle episodes like that. I miss that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My smash on horse are pretty obvious, or maybe not super obvious. My smash was a guy who has the worst job, but is definitely the most committed to it. The horse executioner, or the horse like finisher, putter downer. He was the guy who came out and dealt with Sir Humphrey's poor horse. And
Mm-hmm.
they just took a moment for comedic brilliance in just having this guy who has one job walking out amidst like the hullabaloo of this riot and this horrible tragedy. I think Sir Humphrey is still under the horse at the time, and this guy is just completely just Mr. Horseman. I got one job. I'm gonna do it. I'm union. This is step like nobody's gonna interrupt me. Does it, and then that's when night leaves. I just, I would hire that guy. I'm not gonna have to worry about that guy.
I, if they had been playing this series for comedy, ending that moment with birds flying off of a statue, just like the death of Ned Stark, would have been glorious.
That's when we get to like the animated
Yeah,
Westeros, like
yeah.
Game of yeah. But I'm holding on to that idea because that's man, that guy needs a name. We'll have to
If
find it.
someone wants to
And then
cut of
for
that, we'll share it.
we'll take it and share it. And then my unhorsed was Tansel, who had a really shitty day. And she just like is
Yeah.
so awesome. And she's fighting a dragon and she has these puppets and it's really cool. And I really am bummed out for her. And what they don't show you, and I don't know if they did it in this show, is that in the books they rip up all their puppets, like they light them on fire.
Hmm.
And half the part of like a lot of people remark on how good she is and how amazing the puppets are. And you understand that at this particular day and age, for someone to destroy the resources that you use to make a living is really, really fucked up. And it's just
Yeah.
like all of these things that might seem little. I love that the show has such awareness of like the prostitutes warning Dunk like, yo, you have one body. Like don't and like the plumber saying like, yo, don't worry about your pride so much. Like take care, like take this offer. Take this, offer that is offered in kindness. And then Dancel, who's just again just doing her job.
Yeah. I don't have much to add to that because you said everything perfectly.
Justice for
Great podcast right
Tencel.
there. Yeah.
For our next segment, our second to last one, I don't know that we've done this, we've broken this guy out, but we really wanted to have something that recognized just the fabulous people that we meet at a tournament, our miscongeniality, as it were. And so this segment we are calling the Queen of Love and Beauty Award. So who this week, Johnny, was your metaphorical queen of love and beauty? Doesn't have to be a woman.
This, I don't know if it's the best introduction to this segment, but I'm going to say goose selling guy.
I could see it. He's just only got good things to bring to the party.
Yeah, like, you want this goose? Yep, here's this goose. Here's this goose. I'll kill the goose for you. No, I'm fine. I'm fine killing this goose for you. No. Oh, you want the eggs.
Have a nice date with your breakfast lady.
Yeah, enjoy your brunch, sir.
I know. He's brunch. He's the chef. What are you
Yes,
gonna? You can get brunch because of him. He is the queen of love and
yes. Yep, no, it tracks.
a gateway
That
to
was
brunch.
that was my thought the entire time. He is the gateway to brunch in Westeros.
Also a gateway to brunch, I would think, is my candidate for queen of love and beauty, Lionel Baratheon. And this man at brunch, can you imagine? Can you imagine Lionel Baratheon at brunch? The way you're not getting out of that restaurant until past 6 p.m.
You still got bottomless mimosas, even though they end at 2.
Yeah, you are paying for it. Lionel already left.
Oh, yeah.
He's at the next bar. Don't worry, you got your
Yeah.
credit card.
Because karaoke starts at 4.
I love that this show, I think there's simply a rule that's like we need Lenny B in every single episode. We need a little shot of Lenny B because honestly, like that is now I expect it. And
Yeah.
I'm getting a little like, where's my Lenny dose? And there he was, and he was shirtless.
We went from Lenny Bruce to Lenny Kravitz this episode,
Ooh, I nailed it.
and I'm not mad at it.
No, I don't know that I'm ever gonna be mad at Lenny B.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I of the people at this event, if you had asked me on my list of like who am I hanging out with if I had to pick out of a lineup, Dunk and Egg are on that list,
Mhm.
but they're not at the top of it. Lionel's at the top of it. That like and the prostitutes are right under him.
Mhm.
And then Plumber, because I feel like, he's the guy you go to for black market shit.
Mhm. But you don't drink from his cups.
Anyway, yeah. And on to our conspiracy theory. Johnny, I think you had a pretty good one this week.
Yeah. So to the point where I held up recording for 15 minutes so I could do some more research on it. It's the best part about this conspiracy theory is that there's absolutely nothing to back it up but vibes. And that's that Robin
Ooh.
Riesling would be Beric Dondarrion, had he been born 100 years later, that he is, in fact, the embodiment of the warrior, the way that Beric Dondarrion and Thoros of Myr combined were not quite an avatar of the Lord of Light, but his presence being known on Westeros. So Robin is not in the same way an avatar, but he is absolutely one of those first steps of magic coming back. And I got this mostly from an eye patch and the fact that he only spoke about himself in the third person.
Eye patches are powerful, powerful, powerful pieces of magic. They wield a lot of influence, I think, especially when they are metallic, because that says to me, like, I think he went to the Citadel for that. Who's doing like bionics in Westeros?
Yeah.
At this point,
I have found
like,
out that there is somebody doing bionic eyes in San Diego, and I need to look into that.
Yes, you do. You have to be careful because you don't want to be a Borg, but you should absolutely look into it.
Yeah, I need that laser pointer real bad.
I like the idea of just like randomly, like nobody really tells you why Thoros of Myr is able to bring back Beric Dondarrion when the shit hits the fan. Maybe it's because all the gods in Westeros just finally were like, oh shit, it's that time. We better like, do whatever we're supposed to do. And they, Melisandre has a little bit more and Thoros. But like, I also like the idea of just like, there's just pockets of God energy, and maybe if you accidentally say the right runes in the right order once or twice and drop a coin somewhere, bink, you are like full of the warrior if you're like already a knight or something. Maybe it's just like these weird coincidences that happen, and so you have these like semi-magical people roaming Westeros, and maybe they're warriors, maybe they're silent sisters, but they all got a little magic.
Yeah.
Accidental magic, I don't know.
And it will come back more. We're probably not going to see Robin Riesling get reincarnated. But again, 60 years later, 80 years later, I think we would.
Had me at those bare feet. That's how you know he's religious.
Yeah, that's how you know he's religious. And like he walked through a field of sheep.
They don't like roads. If someone's in bare feet
No.
and they're not like they're going like as the crow flies, ask them questions.
I want to get that seer and Robin together. Deborah.
What if like we just don't see Robin Riesling until it's time, and then like you find him and like him and Deborah are just hanging out, like drinking, like hanging out by a fire and staring into the middle distance. Yes. They've got some Dornish mushrooms.
I was gonna say the first Westerosi ayahuasca.
Yes, they would have good drugs in the Reach. I feel like because they've got like, they've got money. They've got great drugs. Lady Olenna, oh man. We could go on, but we should stop because we have reached the end of this deep dive. Thank you, folks, for coming on our wild and wonderful journeys to discuss this silly little show.
Yeah. This one was a blast. The episode was a blast. I'm really looking forward to the equally uplifting episode we're going to see next week.
I am so excited for like Precioso, like baby boy Egg and his like cute little prince. Like my favorite scene in the book is coming up, I believe, next week, which is when like what we saw in the preview of Egg being like, I didn't mean to lie, and he's in Dunk's cell and he's so
It's going to be, I think it'll be very different, but I think it's going to be really freaking good.
I hope you're right.
But who's going to poop?
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Thanks again, folks, for listening.
Yeah.
And we will see you in a few days.
Yep. Bye, folks.